welcome to the Old Man Orange Comic Book Show. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes. So pretty much doing the second episode here where we just get to sit down and have this kind of personal touch, talking all about just a couple comic books. Dunnigan came up with the idea and he's like, hey man, what if we do a little solo podcast, do an I go, you go, and we can start working down on our ginormous stack of comics. And I thought, I'm like, oh my god, that's a fantastic idea. I seem to buy more comics than I can possibly read. And this is kind of a good way to kind of go, hey, let's go through the stack, see what we can find, and find some cool stuff in here. We can talk all about it. Gives almost a reason to read it and everything like that. For some reason, this is the first time you've ever tuned into one of our shows. This is kind of a branch off of the Old Man Orange podcast, which is like our regular show where we mostly just have fun, talking about funny stories, you know, movies, comics, doing little skits here and there, fucking video games. You know, kind of the works here, but this is kind of like, almost like our retrospect show. So if you know what those are, we take a movie, go back in time with it, you know, decipher it, look at the history of it, and if there's any cool stuff in there, and kind of remember what it's all about. And instead we're doing that with comic books here, you know. And if, other than that though, maybe you know, I do animations as well, so on YouTube, got shows like Drunk Batman and Robin, Wallaby the Rabbit, Unloving Father, Bitter Old Buck. I also got a comic book called Pizza Boys. All kinds of fun stuff out there, too. Also, intro music and everything's from a band called Them Strangers. Just happen to be a part of that bad boy as well. But yeah, so I mean, come on, we're going to have some fun here. Talk about some cool comics that are kind of a little bit different. You know, start working down that stack. That overwhelming stack that just eyes me every day. And the worst part is, it's not the only stack. There's also a movie stack and a fucking video game stack too. So there's a whole lot of stacks going on. Okay, so the first book that I have chosen on this thing, and I have talked about it a little bit on the other podcast, but it's this one that I just kind of picked up at the comic book store. I took a look at it. I'm like, well, this looks fucking cool. I like the artwork. That's mostly a lot of times what sells me on a comic book. It's the art first and foremost. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love good stories and all that stuff too. But when somebody's got something real cool on there, it's like, I'll buy it just for the artwork, let alone. And this one called Sun Bakery, it was from a guy named Corey Lewis. I had no idea who this guy was. I just saw, I'm like, huh, that looks interesting. Image, Corey Lewis. I'm like, wow, that's a, you know, because most Image books seem to have some pretty decent work going on. Not saying anything against it, but this one was kind of like, oh man, it's so simple. Almost looks like a teenager made it. And I'm not saying that like in a bad way, but that's technically what this book looked like. You know, it was just, you flip through the book and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, this is all possible? You can get away with art like this? And once again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's actually pretty cool. And he was doing an anthology thing, all by himself, too. Doing all the work, all the art, writing it, coloring it, the whole shabam. And I was like, okay, this is pretty fucking cool. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, once again. Maybe, like, I don't know, I'm looking at this, I go, maybe he was, like, fucking, like, a Let's Plays guy or something like that. He mentioned in there that he got this kickstarted and funded this way. So I'm like, okay, so he has a following of some sort. And the next thing you know, the further I look into it, I go, oh, no, this guy actually, you know, that is his main thing, is he's a comic book artist and writer, and he's worked on little backstories and mini, I guess, issues of Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, Avatar The Last Airbender, all kinds of stuff. And you're like, what the fuck? Oh, okay, I guess. So, yeah, he has been doing kind of these things for a while. You know, he's got his own stories, too, out there called Shark Knife and Geo. And so it's like, yeah, he's got a lot going on. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. So, you know, you kind of start flipping through, and there's just these little mini stories. I mean, they're all probably anywhere between about 5, 8 pages, and one in the back's about 3, a little short one. And the first story kind of starts off, it's like a Metroid ripoff, and that's not a bad thing, because believe me, we need more Metroid stuff. That is such an amazing game that just does not get enough praise, and fuck, Nintendo's not even really, I mean, they did the Metroid, the Federation Freedom Fighter things on 3DS, but we haven't really got a full-on Samus game in a while. I mean, last one being Other M, and I fucking love that game. That's actually one of my top 3 Metroid games of all time, but I know a lot of people don't care for it a whole lot. So whatever. Get more Metroid here. And the way he kind of does it, he does this character that's pretty much just, once again, Samus ripoff. But instead she's going around the world you know, space pirate and all, but she's like Instagramming it all, taking pictures of it, which when you think about like Metroid Prime, you're running around scanning things already as is. I mean, it's not that much different than fucking taking pictures of weird aliens and, you know, posting them online to the space internet. So yeah, there's that. She's going around there and kind of just ends, you know, after she goes around, checks her accounts, finds some space aliens, takes some pictures, and then next thing you know, she's getting attacked by a monster, and boom, to be continued. So, nice thing is I think this next book's coming out right around the corner, so don't have to wait too long. But then next you get to this other world. It's in the future, and he's developed this way that everybody's got this shield over them that pretty much prevents it so nobody can get shot anymore. It blocks bullets instantaneously. But what that kind of sets up is now people can go around carrying swords, and that's the new way of fighting and battling and everything like that. So it goes back to an old-timey way of strategy and skill and art and all this stuff, almost like a samurai/knight way of like, hey, if you're gonna fucking battle somebody, you take your two best warriors, you pit them together, and they fight it out, and that's how you decide something. And I think that's actually a pretty cool way to kind of go about it. You know, I mean, like the bullet thing, someone might go, oh, fucking corny. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. It gets the point across. It gets rid of the guns. That's always how you want to do it. Like, how do you get rid of the guns so we can get back to swords and get to this? And in this one, too, it's got some comedy in there, too, which all these stories seem to kind of be filled with comedy and kind of like goofy character designs. And, you know, it's weird. It's got that kind of artwork where you look at a couple pictures and you're like, okay, that's actually pretty cool looking. And then all of a sudden, there's a very exaggerated, almost like, it's a sort of manga, but I wouldn't really call it manga. It's probably like that's where it originally got influenced, and then it started appearing in like kids' cartoons and so on, almost like Adventure Timey, weird artwork, you know, internet artwork at the end of the day. You got that kind of going on there, and then back to, you know, kind of a little bit semi-realistic looking. But it looks cool, you know? It's got, I mean, I would say it almost feels kind of like Brian Lee O'Malley. You know, he also said some of his other kind of like influences was like Paul Pope, which, you know, he created Batman Year 100, and from that point on, I was like, oh, fuck, every time I see that guy's name, I pick up one of his books, because he's got some really cool, different-looking artwork. And that's almost my main thing. It's like, when I get a comic book, I want the art to look just not like anything I've really seen before, or, you know, to be somebody's kind of like own personal way. I always consider, you know, sometimes with some Marvel and DC books, you kind of get what I consider like generic comic book art. And it's not that it's bad. It's actually really fucking good, but it's almost so kind of perfect that it feels like it's missing almost that special charm of somebody's own personal creation. And, you know, a lot of times, too, they always feel like they're sort of like knockoff versions of Jim Lee. And now when it's Jim Lee, it's all super unique, and I'm fucking down. But when you kind of see somebody else that's just, you know, where you can't tell anybody apart anymore, it's like, right there, that's almost the reason, you know. And I mean, maybe that's the gateway in for fucking Marvel and DC. They're like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, an average Joe, if they see some weird fucking artwork, super colorful, super deformed, or artistic, that might scare them away. Which, okay, yeah, true. I think it's one of those ones, the farther and farther you fall into comic books, the more and more weirder and different art you start looking for and things you want, and you almost kind of start to appreciate worse art. Now, when I say worse, I don't mean like technically, technically it's worse, but artistically it's way cooler. You know what I'm saying there? One of those kind of things. Well, whatever. And then, like, the next story, it's this one called Bat Rider, and I really have no idea what the fuck's going on. It shows, like, this kid, and he's got this, like, bat helmet thing on, and he's, like, a skateboarder, and he's, like, going down the road, and there's this, like, other girl that comes up, and they start racing and everything like that, and it's in fucking black and white, and it looks cool, don't get me wrong. Artistically wise, it looks cool, and they're just skateboarding, going super fast, going down the hill, left and right, and yeah, I mean, like, other than that, though, you're like, what the fuck is going on in this story, you know? It's like, he's got this cool, like, sort of demonic-looking stuff going here, and fucking skeletons and so on, and next thing you know, he fucking biffs it at the end, and that's the end of the story, and you're like, what the fuck? Is that it? But still, it's cool. It's cool it's doing an anthology thing, because, you know, that sounds kind of a fun way to go about it. You don't always get the anthology thing nearly as much. I mean, yeah, there's always some TV shows out there doing it, you know, kind of doing the Twilight Zone thing. And every once in a while, you'll have those animated movies that, you know, can be good or bad, kind of like there's the Green Lantern one that was kind of an anthology, and the Halo one that was actually one of the better anthology movies, I thought. And then there was Batman, the Gotham Knight one, which came out around Dark Knight, which is probably like I always consider like kind of the weakest of the DCU movies. It's not that there's not bad stuff in there, just overall sometimes the anthology doesn't pan out as well. I don't know what it is. You'll get like a couple good stories, and then you just get a couple like they're just over so quick and they're just kind of generic. But yeah, whatever. What can you do about that? But no, this Sun Bakery, I'm just really excited about it. I like the fucking design. I like the artwork in it. I look at that and I go, oh, fuck, anything's possible. As a comic book artist myself, it's like, hey, there we go. There's somebody. As long as there's somebody out there whose artwork's on par with yours and you don't feel like they're all fucking Jim Lees walking around that are like so perfect, like we can't even achieve this, even if we put all the time and effort into there, it's just like, it's just probably not going to happen. And then you get these ones I hear. It's just fun artwork. It looks cool. And at the end of the day, I actually would pick this kind of book up over somebody who's got, the generic, it's really good, looks like they went to school for 4 years and studied their entire life, but it just doesn't feel, it's missing the human touch. And that's what I feel Sun Bakery's got. It's got that human touch in there. It's got what you want in a comic book. And from looking at this, I'm really interested in seeing what Corey Lewis's other stuff is, especially knowing that he did a Rival Schools one. I'm like, fuck, are you kidding me? Dude, that's one of the best fighting games out there. There's only like 2 of them. So I'm really excited about that. And then now I'm kind of like, oh, fuck, I think if you did some of the Street Fighter stuff, I must have some of that there. So I kind of want to take a look into it. And then even looking at the Shark Knife, that looks cool. Don't know what it's about, but it looks cool artwork-wise. And Geo, there's all kinds of cool things there. It's like, hey, from now on, this artist is definitely going on my list. Same with like writing. I'm just interested to see what happens. I'm not saying it's probably like the best thing out there, but it's definitely different. And different, I think, lots of times is the key thing. But we go past that, and we come up to another book that I had sitting on my shelf, right there in the stack, that I literally bought once again, because the fucking cover looked awesome, which lots of times I've learned in life that just because a cover looks cool, that doesn't always mean it leads you to good places, especially with movies, too. I've learned, you just gotta stop buying those covers lots of times just because it's got a guy with a gun on the cover, and it looks like this Pierce Brosnan movie's gonna be fucking badass, and then it turns out it's just, no, an okay, halfway decent one, not as cool as you thought it was gonna be, but whatever. Okay, so this next book I picked up, it's called Curse Words, and literally, just look at the cover. It's got a guy with a ginormous beard on a fucking old motorcycle. He's got like a wizard staff on his back. There's a fucking dragon in the background breathing fire on like some type of building. It's got this pink and blue sort of hue, color scheme going on. And this guy's got sunglasses and like a crew cut. So it's like, what the fuck's going on? I don't know what's going on in this, but it looks fucking badass. You know what I mean? That's a book for me right there. I'll fucking buy it. Sure, here, take my $4. Let me see what you got. And this comes from a guy named Charles Soule and Ryan Browne. And I think they both kind of wrote the thing together. I don't know if they both drew it, because it just says these are the guys that created it, and then it just goes color. I don't even think it mentions the ink or anything like that in the book, so I was kind of confused. I'm like, did they both do it? But I'm thinking it's Charles Soule is kind of the main writer guy. They both came up with the story, and then Ryan Browne, he's the main illustrator, and then, they got Jordan Boyd and a couple other guys on there to help color and get it all put together. But Ryan Browne, he did this story called God Hates Astronauts. I didn't read that one yet either, but that sounds fucking cool. And then Charles Soule, he did Daredevil, Wolverine, Star Wars, so he's got some big names to him. Well, whatever, we get to this book here, and it just starts off, and there's this, like, wizard guy, and he's, like, up in, like, the high-rise of New York or something like that, and he's got this douchey fucking pop star guy coming in, going, hey, you know what, I got fucking chicks all over me, I got teenagers everywhere buying my fucking shit, but he's like, it's not enough, man, I want you to turn me fucking platinum. The wizard's kind of like, hey, I'm a wizard for hire here, what the fuck? Okay, I guess I can do this, as long as you got the stones, but just keep in mind, is this what you want? He's like, yeah, man, I fucking want this. So he turns him into this big platinum creature, almost makes him look like Iceman from X-Men there. And the next thing you know, this other wizard fucking comes in at this point, and they start battling, and then all of a sudden, it shows our main character, and I think his name's, is it Wizard? He's got Wizard, like a Zord, like a Power Rangers. And he wakes up the next day and he's just like laying in this park. And you're like, what the fuck happened? He's like, did he just get his mind wiped or something like that? What the fuck's going on here? And all of a sudden, he's laying out here. And he can't understand anybody. People are walking up to him like he's this fucking hobo or something like that. And they're just talking to him, and it's just gibberish to him. Somehow, some way, he doesn't have any way to understand humans. And you learn as this kind of goes on that no, he traveled from either a different dimension or the past or some kind of area like that, old-timey place with wizards and knights and all kinds of stuff. And when he finally gets here, all he can understand is animals and stuff like that. So this like rat comes up and starts talking to him, and he can understand that. And there's a bird and a horse, and he can talk to all these creatures, and they're the ones kind of guiding him along. And as he's kind of going out, he's discovering how the future of man is right now. Starts looking around and starts passing these days by, collecting this knowledge. And they got even weird, funny things in there too. Like he goes to a pharmacy, and the rat's telling me, he's like, oh, dude, this is like an alchemist dream right here. Here's you got all your fucking stuff to create whatever magic potions you need to make. So he starts picking up things and starts making all kinds of stuff at his place. And boom, next thing you know, he's able to finally understand what the humans are saying. Or I guess he's human too, but, you know, magic human and, you know, regular folks like you and me. So he gets that kind of going. And then next thing you know, he's like, okay, I'm here. He starts talking to other people. Like, he talks to, like, this hot dog guy. He's like, dude, what's with all the freedom here? Why? What's going on here? Like, where's these people's, like, masters? You know, what are these slaves just doing, walking around? And the guy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody here's, we got freedom. You know what I mean? Nobody's fucking slaves. He's like, so, like, are they nobles or anything like that? He's like, no, they're just people. People like you and me, you know, thinking he's all the same. He's like, huh. It just cuts to, like, a flashback of him. And there's just like this pit with all these slaves pushing this giant wheel around. Looks like the fucking thing in Conan the Barbarian. And it's just like, okay, so he was master slave owner at one point in time in the past. But whatever, in this point he decides, he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to become kind of like a superhero god to these people. I'm going to start becoming this wizard for hire, and I'm going to help people out. I'm going to, you know, help the children, help the people, give people what they want. You know, he's helping out athletes and all kinds of stuff. So he's kind of doing like helping some people out in good ways, some people in ways that, okay, now they're kind of like just cheating. But he's got his 3 rules he goes about. And what they are, he's like, here's the thing. No cures, no wars, and no love. Everything else is cool. So he's almost like the genie from Aladdin. You know what I mean? Gotta have those fucking rules now. So he gets that going. And his pet rat just kind of decides, or pet rat, I guess, buddy rat decides, hey, you know what? People love koalas. I'm going to be a fucking koala. So now he's got this koala, like, on his shoulder. It's like, well, that's fucking cool. It's like a parrot's talking to him and everything like that. They're the best of buddies. Kind of working this business as a wizard for hire. And then it cuts back to there's this other wizard that comes in. He just looks kind of like one of those, like, douchey pauper guys from, like, the 1600s, like, England. Just almost, it's not like a jester, but closer to a jester, but, you know, just like some royal, prestigious clothes and everything like that. And this wizard comes out and they start battling, and then there's fucking this huge Dragon Ball Z like battle over a city, and next thing you know, they land in like a baseball stadium and everything's going down. And you just think this whole time, you're like, oh, here's this fucking wizard who's just fucking up the whole time. Like, this is the guy we gotta fight. You know, this is the whole reason Wizard's here. And he's like, dude, I gotta battle these wizards. They're gonna come in and I'll protect you people. But this guy's here going like, no, dude, don't trust this fucking guy. You don't know who he was. Back in the day, he was a fucking slave owner. You know, he worked for the worst of the worst evil. You can't trust this guy at all. He's pure evil. And everybody's just standing there looking at him like, what do you mean he's pure evil? He's saving us. Look what he does. He saves puppies. You know, he makes star athletes. He does all kinds of stuff that we like. Well, next thing you know, he's like, get pissed off, fucking grabs this other wizard and just goes like, I'll fucking show you. Like, electrocutes the fuck out of this guy, and his head fucking explodes, and next thing you know, it's like a Mortal Kombat fatality, and there's like this skeleton hanging there and everything, and the whole audience in this stadium's just all like in shock. So the book kind of ends where he goes, you know what, this won't hurt, does this spell, boom, shrinks the entire stadium to like the size of his palm, puts it in his pocket, almost like he's taking bottled cities, Brainiac style, and this is kind of where it about ends, and then next thing you know, it cuts to whatever the evil world is, and there's this new threat going to come in to try to take Wizard down because, you know, he broke free. Well, I guess we're going to learn all this in the second one, which pretty much is out by now, so you can pick this one up. I'm just doing the first issue here, so just get it kind of, hey, here's a cool book, curse words about wizards and stuff like that, and that's not even my favorite thing. Generally, like, don't get me wrong, I like fantasy stuff, but I'm more of a sci-fi person, and I feel like that's how a lot of people are, you know? Some people like sci-fi, some people like fantasy more, but generally there's this like overlapping center part. You know, the easiest way to tell is almost like you got games like The Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Same company, But you notice that a lot of times the fans are not the same. It's either people like Fallout or they like Elder Scrolls. Very rarely do you meet people that are like, oh, dude, I fucking love both of them. So, But this to me, it's a cool way to do, a fantasy book that, I'm kind of interested in, I'm definitely going to get the second one for sure. Kind of been waiting on back order. It's kind of, you can get digitally easy, but I think print-wise, that book got kind of expensive fast, like a lot of second issues sometimes do. But yeah, these are 2 cool books to go check out. Curse words, if you like wizards, fucking out there in modern day, saving the world, riding motorcycles, pet koalas. I mean, what's not to like, man? Like, totally like the book to get. Or you can go out and get Sun Bakery, a little anthology with all kinds of weird art inspired by manga style, meets American and cartoon and video games and just all mashed together and, just cool art. Stuff that you want to read, have fun, share, mix it up with your superhero stuff. Why not, But yeah, so this is the second episode here. Ryan will probably take over the third and we'll kind of leapfrog each other back and forth. So, if you got cool books to show us and say, hey, tell us what you think of the show. Is this kind of goofy? Is this kind of fun? Send an email. You can send one. I guess we'll just do it at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. And then check out www.oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. Got all kinds of fun stuff up there. If you want to read my comic book, it's called Pizza Boys with a Z. Right now, it's on Amazon on the Kindle store. I'll put that in the little link down there. But, hey, check that out. You can read it for free even, too, if you got Amazon Kindle Unlimited. And, if you want to be super nice, leave a review, put a rating up on there, any more of those, that really helps out a lot. Also, podcast-wise, leave a review, whatever. We'll probably have these ones on Newgrounds and YouTube at first, and then progressively start putting them up on iTunes and everywhere else. But working our way into there, Got the regular Old Man Orange podcast. Check that out. We're getting close to episode 300. Going to have some more fun guests on towards the end. Getting David Razzie back on. Getting the Arnold Radio News guys. Paint It Black podcast. Lots of fun to be had. So till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes. And we'll see you some other time.
Try to make a killer out of just some boy. You're kicking up the sun and the sand destroys. It's the same old money for the same old line. You're pushing for the pennies as the days fly by. Number one. It's all you ever wanted. Number one. It's all you ever wanted since the moment you started.